to my channel. So today I'm doing the long awaited video that I've been dreading to do for you guys, and I just decided that I really need to make this video, not only for myself but for you guys and anybody else out there that has ever experienced what I had went through, or I'm actually still currently dealing with things. But I'm definitely not at the level that I was. So I do feel a lot better, and I'm handling things on my own the best that I can. But it is definitely hard. So if you are new to my channel, I do have a almost 9-month-old little baby boy, and he's currently over there playing in his playpen area, but he is kind of fussy. So if you guys, I might have to get him out and just like let him crawl around or play with something over here, because he is at that age now where he is following me around and doing everything, and he doesn't like to be contained. He likes to be where I'm at, what I'm doing. He's very interested in everything, and so stay tuned because there will be a 9-month update very soon. If you follow us previously and have watched his old updates, there will be another one whenever he turns 9 months old. Just had to bring him over here. I don't really know how well this is gonna go. I do apologize if he is like grabbing at the tripod or anything. Currently he's found a boot to play with, so that's a good thing. This video is going to be about anxiety and depression and OCD. All three things are wrapped in to what has happened to me. So first off, a little backstory about me growing up, okay? I have always had anxiety. I did not know what the hell anxiety was until a couple months ago. Probably about 2 months ago in October, I finally learned what anxiety was. And that is when I become aware of what it was and learned about it and actually started experiencing it a lot more than what I used to because of what happened, which we will talk about in a little bit. But backstory about me, when I was a kid, things would happen to me randomly at times. This one in particular, I just want to tell you guys, when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, I was out of school for about 2 weeks because I will never forget this. I was in my basement up at my mom and dad's house, and I was eating a pepperoni roll. So I took a bite of the pepperoni roll and tried to swallow it. And for whatever reason, I kind of like, I didn't choke, but I just kind of felt like I didn't swallow correctly or something and couldn't swallow it. But I did swallow it. I didn't choke or anything. And I had an instant like fear, like of just like, you know, if you have anxiety, you know what that feeling is. It's just almost like if someone scared you. That's what anxiety feels like. That's the best way that I can explain it, to like you feel anxious and you just all of a sudden you feel scared. So that happened to me, and I was dealing with that for 2 weeks, and I told my mom that I had a sore throat because I felt like I couldn't swallow food. And I even wrote about it in my diary, which is like bizarre. But I had like this diary I kept when I was a kid, and I used to always like to journal and stuff, but I wrote down in there like I'm still having trouble getting over not swallowing my food, and I remember just being really down about it and just really like frustrated and didn't think I would ever get better and just like all this stuff. And then it lasted for about 2 weeks, and finally, you know, I started eating food again like correctly, and it didn't ever bother me ever again. So like I got over it. And so then the next example, I just want to give you guys a little backstory about me. So I've always been a very shy person, so I don't really care to be around a large amount of people. More than so, that doesn't really bother me anymore, thanks to working in public. That actually got me over that fear, and I can actually be around people and not feel anxious. But the thing that makes me anxious normally is going to a big event, or because it's just the thought is what causes anxiety. It's all in your head, it's just a thought. But the thought of being around a large amount of people that I don't know, never talk to, because I feel like I'm awkward when I meet new people because I don't really know what to talk about. I feel like I'm just weird, and I don't know, that's just the best example that I can give you guys how I feel. So, which is really odd that I even make YouTube videos, but it's the truth. Like, if you ever met me in person, I'm very shy and content and just very like I don't always know what to say to people, but I'm not as bad as I honestly used to be. I've definitely grown out of a lot of that. But that is still something to this day that will get me anxious. It's like when I'm about to be around new people that I don't know, I've never met before, and then as I get around them and they start talking and I kind of like get used to them, I start to open up myself and I feel, he's eating my leg right now, I start to feel better and get used to people. So then I open up and then I don't feel nervous anymore because I've been around them long enough and I'm good. So I have social anxiety for sure. I had it my whole entire life. Ever since I can remember, that was like the #1 anxiety that I've dealt with. Of course, I didn't know what that was. I just always referred to anxiety as being nervous. That is how I always described it. I never really knew what it was. It's such a big word for like, or it's just such a, like, I don't even know, a weird word for what I used to call being nervous. And I just honestly, part of me wishes I never would have known what it was, but I'm glad that I do because I can actually control it now and I know how to get rid of it. So it's definitely good to have knowledge that. So that was just a little childhood backstory about me. This video is going to be long, so grab a cup of tea, coffee, cookies, whatever you want, because this is probably going to be a long video. Okay, so now we're moving to the present time. When it was October, a couple months ago, a life-changing event happened to me that has forever changed me, and I don't think I'll ever be the same ever again, just because I have gotten too far into my head, which I never thought that I could ever get to such a place. And I deal with things daily now that I have to just basically, this is what I call it. I call it breaking the cycle. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys what happened to me. So on October 12th, it was the night of the haunted house. And you guys know that my family does a haunted house around here where I live. So I was very anxious for the haunted house because it was going to be such a big event anyways. So that whole week was kind of like a stressful week. Cole was peeing and wetting the bed and I was very stressed over that. I was not anxious or anything over it. I was more like stressed and kind of obsessed over it because I was always Googling, which I will also tell you guys it's like one of my obsessions. I Google all the time, which I've actually limited myself to recently because it helps me not to do it. So I always Googled symptoms and just like anything my whole entire life. But so I was Googling that about his diapers. There was a couple nights where I just was like awake from like 12 o'clock to like till the morning. I couldn't sleep, which was also very rare for me. I never had any issues sleeping my whole entire life. I was a person that literally could sleep as long as I wanted to and felt like getting up out of bed. I was that kind of person. So it was really odd for me to have a couple nights where I wasn't sleeping well. And what was happening to me those nights was also, this also kind of happens more when it's the week before my period. So it was that week, just so I let you guys know. A lot of stress leading up to like why I had a couple bad nights of sleep, but I actually always was the type of person that knew if I didn't sleep well the night before, I was gonna make up for it the next night. Like that's just logical thinking, like okay, I didn't sleep well tonight, I'll sleep better the next night. That's how I've always thought about things like that. So when Friday night came, so the whole week was very just stressful, I felt like, and getting prepared for the haunted house had me stressed and just, I don't know, kind of overworked, I guess, in my head. So the night came for the haunted house. Well, let's go back to Thursday night. Thursday night was the night he started crawling, which also stressed me because I knew that he was going to be getting into everything. So it was just all this stuff in 1 week that was just starting to add up. And then that night, Thursday night, I was awake at 1 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep because I had too much on my brain, which is pretty much when you experience insomnia when you can't sleep because you're either thinking too much or you have anxiety or depression or whatever, is what I've like learned about. So for me, I had too much on my head because I was nervous about the haunted house. I had thought about my son because he was going to have to go stay on the weekends a couple nights, and I was already in a weird place anyways. If you guys watch my vlogs, I would stress over things like his naps, and I would just really obsess over it. I couldn't stop, like, I couldn't let it go pretty much, and it was something that just always like stressed me all the time. So Thursday night I was awake at 1 o'clock, and I just was really frustrated about that because I knew Friday night come I had to go to the haunted house and it didn't end till midnight. So I had like a very long day ahead of me. So Friday night come, my friends that do it with me come to my house. I did their makeup, I did my makeup. We went to the haunted house, we had fun. I was exhausted. I remember being at the haunted house and just wanting to go to sleep back where I was. When we didn't have anybody, I would just kind of like lay my head down because I was so tired. I was almost pretty much going on 24 hours of no sleep, and it was just very, very hard. So when I finally got done at the haunted house, I come home and I remember taking my makeup off and just being like so, I was just kind of like wound up, I guess, at that point, because it had been like about 24 hours. It was like 12:30 I think when I got into bed. So like 1 o'clock would have made 1 o'clock, here, go ahead. So 1 o'clock would have made 24 hours. So I went to bed, and my husband was already in bed, and Cole was at my grandparents' house. So another thing that was on my brain when I went to bed was that I had to go up in the morning and pick Cole up. So that was on the back of my mind. I had responsibility in the morning that I had to do. So basically, I didn't go to sleep. So the morning come, right, and I'm laying in bed and I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll be able to go to sleep for a couple hours before I go get Cole. And you know, I was very calm about the situation, and then I didn't go to sleep. So I freaked out. Pretty much, I was like, why ain't I going to sleep? It's been over 24 hours and I'm not sleeping. But at the time, I didn't know the logical reasons why I wasn't sleeping. It was more like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm not sleeping. It was kind of like that. So I freaked out. I called my mom and I was like, I cannot go to sleep. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't sleep. It's been like however many hours. Can't sleep. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the haunted house because I'm not sleeping, so I don't think I can do another night, you know, and that freaked me out, thinking, well, I got responsibility. And then basically the next night had come. I tried to go at my mom's that day and sleep the whole entire time. By the way, I think we're going to break this into part 1 and part 2 because this is going to be a really long story. So let's go ahead and, well, I'll finish up talking really quick about this, and then we'll go to part 2, which will be me talking about the next part of what happened to me and how I'm dealing with everything now and my understanding of all 3 things. So let's go ahead and finish this story. So that day, shoo, hot. I was at my mom's. She even offered to give me like some PM pills or something to try to go to sleep. And I tried. I took something. I laid up in her bed for a while she watched Cole or went and got Cole for me. I forget what she did. My mom, such a blessing, was there for me. No doubt through the very last bit of it. She's always there. I don't know what I'd do without her, but so she watched Cole while I tried to sleep, but I never succeeded at it because I was too wound up. Basically, that's the logical answer for it, but in the time, I didn't know that. I just thought, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm not sleeping. What's wrong with me? So the next night come, and I didn't go to the haunted house, and then the next night come, and we were going to bed. And right when I laid down, I just was like wide awake, okay? And by this point, guys, I'm going on like day 2 with no sleep of like 48 hours or whatever the hell it is. So I am exhausted, but I'm also so wound up that I just couldn't sleep, but I didn't know that, and I was convinced that something was wrong with me. So I come out to the living room, called my mom. She come down at like midnight and sat with me until that morning. And that morning, I think it was that morning, or was this after that? I don't really remember now, guys. Maybe it did. Yeah, I think she sat with me until the morning. I don't really remember it all now because it was all a big blur from not sleeping. But either I had went to sleep for like an hour or two. I can't really remember now. I think maybe that's how it went. Went to sleep for like an hour or two finally, and then I woke up and realized that I still wasn't really sleeping. I was still freaking out about it, like there was something wrong with me. And my mom took Cole up to her house for me and watched him, and she's like, just go back to sleep. And my husband had to go to work, so he wasn't here. And I never did go back to sleep because I just knew that I had a son to take care of. Like, how can you sleep? You got responsibility. I didn't want my mom to have to do it. You know, that was in the back of my head. And I was so exhausted by this point. I don't even know. So, skipping a little bit ahead, I decided that I wanted to go to the doctor and get my blood work done and let them, like, know what was going on with me. I think I only had like a little bit of sleep. I don't remember. So when I finally, the next night was like Sunday night, I think, my aunt had actually gave me a little something to try to take to relax me. So I took it, and I don't remember shit. I pretty much was so exhausted, like I don't remember anything. I slept the whole night until 7 a.m., exactly 7 a.m. Cole woke up at 7, and my husband woke up at 7 because he was off that day, I think. So I slept the whole night, felt good, decided to go to the doctor that day, I think on Monday it was, and decided to I wanted to get blood work done at some point, and I was just convinced something was off in me, that I wasn't sleeping. But really, I had too much shit on my mind. That was the logical reason for it, which I did figure out later, which is weird how all that works. So, long story short, I was dealing with sleep anxiety, and every night I was just having trouble going to sleep because I thought, I'm not going to get to sleep tonight, or what about if I don't get to sleep tonight? And I would just keep thinking that, and I wouldn't sleep because that's what I was thinking. And finally, when I would go to sleep, I would only maybe sleep like 4 or 5 hours. So every night I was only getting 4 or 5 hours for like 2 weeks, I think. And I was just so tired. And I didn't do the haunted house because I just couldn't do it, because I was just so convinced that something was terribly wrong with me. And I just didn't even want to think about trying to do that and get less sleep. And then I started obsessing over the time that I went to bed. I thought, well, if I don't go to bed by 9, I'm not going to get any rest. If I go to bed a little later, I'll get even less sleep, or I won't be able to fall asleep in time. Then that started, which was bizarre, right? to people that don't know any of this kind of stuff, you probably think people that deal with this kind of stuff, it's crazy, it's bizarre, it sounds dumb, but it's not. It's really some kind of reality that you have and you fear. It's real to you and and whoever. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But anyways, we're gonna move on to part 2 because this is really long. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. My kid's gonna tear down the tripod and the camera, and he's tearing down the house. So we're gonna move on to part 2 now, and I hope you guys enjoyed my little story so far, and I know it's rambly as hell, so if you stuck through, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you in part 2. Bye guys.